Welcome to episode 9 of
the Bodhi Bros.
I left it to you this time, Bodhi Ray. And I am Bodhi John with a J. And today we are here to discuss the noble journey from fear to fearlessness by, I'm going to put you on the spot, Ray. How do you pronounce her name?
Pema Chödrön.
I think that's good.
That's how you say it.
Is that?
I think that's how you say it.
I would say Pema Chödrön. Yeah.
Pema Chödrön. She's one of the she was ordained a Buddhist nun in 1981. One of the very first Westerners to accomplish that. I've never listened to Pema before. I've seen a lot of her quotes on the internet. I've heard of her. What I didn't know, I know she was a disciple of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I don't know if you know who he is. I've seen some old videos of his. I read one of his books, Crazy Wisdom, which was a really good book. And I actually have the book that they talk about in this video, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, which I haven't read yet. I have a lot of books I haven't read. So, now that I've watched this video, I definitely plan on reading this book.
Guilty.
So yeah, I never listened to her before though. So this was new to me. You know, even though I've heard of her. So.
I'm guilty as well as the endless stream of books not yet read, but sworn to get to. I do not have that book you're speaking of, but we can include that link in the descriptive field below this recording / video today.
Chogyam,
yes.
I like but Chogyam Trungpa, he was a very controversial teacher. A lot of times he would show up for lectures with smoking a cigarette and drinking alcohol, and he would kind of almost be like intoxicated. He would he allegedly slept with some of his students. So he was very controversial. But you know what? I kind of like those controversial teachers though. You know, I kind of like that.
Yes, but we're not talking about Pema though, right?
No, Pema's, from what I heard, I mean, she's not controversial, but her teacher was Chogyam Trungpa. And he was, you know, but I don't know. I was surprised, but I like those controversial teachers. You know, even Teal's a controversial teacher.
Sure.
You know,
keep bringing them. What led you to choosing her this time?
She was a name that I've heard of for a long time, and I've seen some articles she wrote. I've seen a lot of her quotes, and they just seemed very wise. So I thought, well, I've never listened to her before. I looked up on YouTube and I saw that this video came up first, and I think it had, I don't know, something like 600,000 views or something crazy like that. So I was like, okay, and the title sounded really good. I mean, from fear to fearlessness, I think that's something that sounds interesting to most people, I believe. And, I think that we all resonate because we all have fear in our lives, and we would all like to be more fearless, live in a state of fearlessness. So let's go with it.
All right. I also, and again, have had no experience whatsoever with this particular teacher. And so that was exciting for me. Admittingly, way behind schedule in my week's work with other tasks, et cetera, and watched it for the first time this morning. But because I did catch up in a major way and had to wait for an appointment earlier this afternoon, I got to watch it 3 times and listen to it 3 times. So I spent 3 hours, like first time you get an album, you put it on loop. So I was hoping by the 3rd time I could sing the whole episode back to you. I'll spare you from that. But I think it's in me. I think I've got a good understanding and
yeah. I listened to it 3 times too, but spaced out over a few days. So I always give every video that 3rd listen, and first thing in the morning, usually the day of that we do the podcast, and that's usually the time that I started writing stuff down. And I felt like this one, man, there was a lot in this video. It's, to me, this is one of those videos that you kind of pick up different things the second and third time that you listen to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to apologize in advance for the for the freshness of how it is presently residing within me. So I haven't had that marination period, but it sounds like you
Yeah,
have. So we'll definitely play off of that. But it is, I mean, right, it's bubbling for me right now because it's so new, 3 times over. But I will say this: there is poetry in this episode. She drops some nuggets of some really, really juicy stuff that I grabbed onto as a lover of poetry and just cool one-liners all around. She has some, and we'll get to that. But she comes right out of the gate, Ray, and says, she strikes a chord with me by talking about how brave it is to sit and be open to yourself with, you know, extreme attention.
yeah.
And that's a lesson I learned the exceptionally hard way. But
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't she say in the video, did she allude that this video was made in the 90s?
I don't remember that.
Because she says something about, what did she say? Something about how, I think when she was referring to the 3 lords or something, and she says, you know, this is very prevalent, you know, today in the 90s. I
Oh,
was like, whoa, this is from the 90s?
I missed that. It did seem old, not in content, but just in spirit. You know, just it did seem.
But listening this from the 90s, and even going back to her teacher,
Yeah.
you know, in some ways you could kind of see how this influenced a lot of teachers today, including Teal. You know, if this is from the 90s, a lot of what she talks about, facing your fears and sitting and having a direct experience with your emotions, is a lot of what the backbone of Teal Swan's teachings is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how you could see how that influence. I wonder if she is an influence of Teal Swan. You know, I wonder that.
If not directly, indirectly in some magical and interesting way,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
it's kind of cool doing these videos, doing this, because it's like, you know, we can kind of see somehow it's sort of like music. You know, you kind of listen to a band, a modern band, you're like, well, that's pretty good. Then you listen to some other older band, and you can say, wow, I could see how that band influenced, you
Yeah.
know, the newer stuff. Yeah, I could see where that influence came from. So maybe there was a direct or indirect influence with.
Sure, and maybe it's just something as simple as a quote, because you said she has a lot of great quotes and a lot, and
Yeah,
maybe Teal or someone, you know, that we've, you know, Ralph Smart, anyone, J.P. Sears that we've reviewed so far, stumbled on one of her quotes decades ago, and it stuck with them, because a lot of times that's some of the most profound medicine is just the power of words and the spells that they cast upon us and how we carry them with us. And so maybe that's in and of it by itself the influence that she and or Ralph, JP, et cetera, has been just influenced by her work and her teacher's work and
yeah,
down the
absolutely.
line. But yes, echoing what you said about doing these videos, I love how it's how all the dots get connected, man, and it's all it makes it all just I don't what am I trying to say? I think it makes me smile and giggle that there's so much competition with he said, she said, and this discipline and that discipline. But if you really listen, there's that thread of commonality that courses through it all. And if you're open to
Right.
it and just allow the, you know, maybe shall I say, the ego to fall a bit, you can clearly see how we're all trying to say the same thing, get to the same place, and that's
Yeah,
nowhere or anywhere in
it's
particular.
just the truth expressed through different perspectives, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
different voice, different. Someone's wearing a different outfit. Maybe you don't listen to them the same way, or you bring those eyes of judgment and those ears of maybe not so openness with you. Hmm.
Yeah. So she says like the journey from fear to fearlessness is sort of the journey from narrowness to openness.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely I could see that because we get kind of caught up in that small sense of self, that fear, You know, when we're in that state of fear, we kind of contract, we kind of feel smaller. Our world kind of closes in on us. And, you know, it's when we feel free and we feel light, everything is more fluid and everything's open. And it's like, you can just, you know, you love it. It's like life is like a fresh, you know, breath of fresh air.
Yep.
Or like that.
From static to fluid, losing rigidity and falling into flexibility, or some of her other themes that she shared in line with the narrowness to openness, how they all lead to each other. And yeah, like I said, there's poetry in this video, folks. There definitely, you know, total recommendation and endorsement, I think, from both Ray and I, before we even get into all of what's there and what we scribbled down on our pads. I'm sure Ray would agree that you should definitely invest some time, if you haven't already, in checking out this video.
Yes, and it's probably one of those, and like I said, it's one of those videos, it may take you more than one listen to really, you know, to really get you, just because there's so much in there. Yeah. A lot of good stuff, like you said, a lot of good lines and poetry in there.
Yeah, so. and when you can be met with words that sometimes, I don't want to say turn us off, but also maybe confuse us, or we shut down real quick because we're like, I don't know what that is. Even her, you know, her name, how do you pronounce it? Where is she from? And we bring all those things, and if we could just let that slip away and just allow the content to be what the content is, not knowing what her name is, not knowing where she comes from, or who her teachers have been or are, or influencers have been or are, and just listen to this, just come to the table with a blank slate and no judgment. You know, I'm just going to keep saying poetry throughout this whole episode, man. She uses the word and the concept that I know you're familiar with, because you sent me a screenshot of something called Maitri, which is
Maitri. I did not know what that was. I had never heard of that.
Right, and so that'll start. If you listen to it the first, if you listen to it the first time, you might.
What she was talking about.
Yeah, you might get stumbled or get caught, and that would slow you down from receiving the information as well. But you sending me that screenshot of it just kind of dissipated that resistance to a new word or a new language or whatever. From an old.
I never heard it before, and she kept saying that word Maitri, and I was like, what is she saying? I couldn't understand what she was saying. Like, it sounded like she was saying mind tree. I'm like, what is that? So I looked down in the comments in the video, and I saw that somebody asked the same question. So I Googled it, what Maitri is, spelled Maitri, and I found that image explaining the definition of it, and I sent that to you because I didn't want you to go through the same thing.
And this is actually,
what is she saying? Mind you.
Yeah. Since we've brought ourselves there, I'm reading right off the notepad here, because I'm not going to get this poetry from the Maitri. I say Maitri like it's like it would be spelled my and then tree, like the tree, because that's the way I heard her saying it. Maybe it's Maitri. Potato, it doesn't matter, right? It's another word, right? But this was beautiful to me. It's the start on my page and everything. She defined it as to place the fearful mind in the cradle of loving kindness. Let me repeat. To place the fearful mind in the cradle of loving kindness. Rock-a-bye, baby. That shit, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then she followed it right up with, get your notebooks out for this one, because this is important. And so I already had it out, and I wrote it down. If you don't get to know the nature of fear, you will never know fearlessness.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And she talks about how we do everything except face that fear, and basically using coping mechanisms, ways to escape the direct experience. And she gives us those examples of the three lords of materialism: the lord of form, the lord of speech, and the lord of mind. And it's because, where do we look for when we're afraid? And usually that we look for relief in the wrong places. We go anywhere except into our direct experiences. We're always trying to move away from that if it's something that we don't like or something that feels unpleasant, uncomfortable to us.
Distractions, distractions,
Yeah, distractions.
distractions. And there's a balance there too, though. Music can be a wonderful tool. Music can be a wonderful just expression of self, or an enjoyment in observing others perform it. However, once music becomes a crutch, it is no longer um, that magical device, but it becomes a distraction, because a lot of us will run to music to take ourselves away from ourselves. And that holds true for
Right.
anything: bicycle riding, even walking. And I love walking, but sometimes, if you get heated in a discussion with your partner, or if you're just really freaked out and anxious about something, I'm just going to go for a walk. I'm just going to go for a walk. And that's okay. And exercise is important, but if we lean upon that and we never give ourselves that loving embrace to be with ourselves and that anxiety, and in that moment with our partner, and that anger, and to be able to communicate and work things through, then the walking, that healthy exercise, becomes that
It becomes like an
addiction.
avoidance.
Yeah, that avoidance,
Yeah.
that addiction, that distraction. And when I met my partner, Ray, I've shared this with you, and I won't go into the whole story again, but she looked at me when we first started dating. She said, "What are you afraid of?" And if you remember, I told her, "I'm a little older than you are. I'm not afraid of anything. I've done the work, been there, done that. When you get here, you're going to enjoy the ride because it's fun. I'm basically fearless." And I was like, she's like, "You're not afraid of anything?" And I took him out. I was like, okay. That's fair. I am afraid of disappointing my daughter. And I sat back in the chair and I'm like, so I'm not going to say I'm not scared of anything. That's something I'm scared of. And she's like, "What else?" And I said, that's it. I'm like, seriously, one day when you get here in the world of spiritual bypassing, where I was at the time, but didn't know that term, you're going to really, really love this level of life and living. And then a day later, I'm rocking in the corner going, okay, she broke John Pepe. What happened? What happened? Because it all came rushing back. And so meeting her was,
Yeah.
and she did it very kindly. She didn't do it very judgy or anything like that, but she just kind of led me back to that door of, what are you afraid of? And through meeting her and meeting the precipice of those fears, and then making the decision, if I want to go on with this partnership and really just not just be successful in a union with her, but probably more importantly myself, I'm going to have to sit with these things. So at the time, I was still holding those walking meditations that are really wonderful practices, but that practice became an addiction. It became a distraction. And when you're walking, even if it was a noble silence, device free, Ray, I've talked about these all the time, but here it is, man. Here it is. I'm still walking. You're still seeing trees. You have all this stuff that's input, even if you show up entirely naked, wear your clothes in public, folks, but like with no energy draining from car keys or wallets or necklaces or hair ties or anything, and you're free and you're connected with nature. It's beautiful, but you're still kind of avoiding yourself. And it wasn't until learning to just sit in silent meditation, sit with no distractions and just no music, no guided anything, and just sit. That's when the world got a little scary, man. And that's why when she said in the very beginning how brave it is for anyone out there starting, flirting with this type of work, experimenting with this work, diving head on into this type of work, kudos, congratulations, bravo for you and your bravery, because it's a daunting task, folks.
Yeah, this is like I've said before, this is usually the work that most people avoid. They do not want to do this kind of work. Facing life, facing reality, facing your feelings, facing your insecurities, your fears, all that crap inside. People will do anything to any kind of excuse to not face that stuff. They will love and light the crap out of everything and
I love
put
how you say
orbs
it.
of white light around themselves and exhale negativity and do all these little simple meditations. Exactly. Basically, they're getting free. They're not getting free, they're getting high. That's really what it is. But getting high, maybe not through drugs, but through meditation, through mantra, through it could be even things like eating or whatever, ideologies and concepts. So basically, I would almost say this whole video is really just about spiritual bypassing, about how we bypass the present moment, and in all those things that we bypass, we're taking ourselves away from the direct experience of life.
Oh yeah,
And
that was.
I think she even says something about she talks about a truly enlightened being having no fear, and somebody who's absolutely connected with the present moment at all times.
Yes, yeah, I got that star too. She said, development of trust in the present moment and a willingness to contact it directly. How beautiful is that? Just trust. Every moment is uniquely different. It'll never be that moment will never be again, and it'll never be the same. And it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. It's a gift that keeps slapping us in the face, and a lot of us are like, "Don't want it. I don't want. I don't want. I don't want to deal with it. I got to do this. I got to take this person here. I got to plug this test in over there, and fill this order over there, and do this, and put this on. Take mom, and make that phone call, and blah, 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 blah. And the present's like, hello, hello, hello. The gift of life is right here. It's right here, and you're like, la 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 la. I'm not listening. 5 years ago, Ray, I didn't even know what it meant when someone asked me, and it was my partner, to sit with my feelings. What does that feel? I'm like, what do you mean sit with my feelings? What do you mean sit with my feelings? Like, well, what with your anger? What does your anger feel like? What does it look like? I'm like, what planet are you from? What do you speak? What is this language you're speaking? And now it's like, oh my gosh. Like just to think of 5 years ago, I didn't even know what that meant. And here
Or we do become aware of our feelings, but then we either shame ourselves or we judge ourselves for feeling a certain way. We think that, I have anger in me. You know what? That anger is not good because I'm a spiritual person, and a spiritual person is not supposed to feel anger, or we think anger is bad or whatever. Right. So we get angry over feeling angry, in a sense, and then that just builds upon itself. So we try to suppress it or deny it. Yeah. Try to cope with it in some means to bypass feeling that.
She says, touch the immediacy of our experience. Like I said, man, so many drops of poetry here. Touch the immediacy, like be in the now, right? I mean, but just the way she said it and all those words together, it's like I was listening to an epic poem, man.
I really like the way she talks and the way she's kind of the calming voice, and she sounds very intelligent and very wise the way she explains herself. I definitely like listening to her talk over Abraham Hicks.
Yes,
I like that. This was very wise and kind of calm. And
the love bullets came out of the chamber a lot slower. I wasn't being riddled as rapidly with information and the waves of channeling. So yeah, I definitely dug it. I like that she also said, we made a note here. Oh, dude, I've been seeing. We talked about signs before, and I also have on my comedy channel too a whole bit on signs, and like animals. Sometimes we'll see the same. We'll see spiders all the time. We'll see spiders, and people are like, oh, I'm terrified of spiders. Well, that's because it has a message for you, right? And so lately for me, it's been ants. Ants. Oh my God, ants. It's so much so like I'm in the weirdest of places, and I'm laughing like ants. So there's ants here? Like, come on. And so I look it up, and I thought it meant like building community and stuff. I'm like, all right, this is going to be like building community, something like that. And of course, there's different translations, and whatever it means for you, it means for you. Maybe it does mean building community, and maybe that's something that is a sidebar to its, I don't know, it's enhanced message. It's the accent message, but it was patience. And I checked out a few
Oh,
different sources, and it kept saying patience, patience, and I'm like, okay. And it goes into the story, explains why it might, the lesson or the theme of patience may be connected to ants, and it's quite beautiful. And so she brings up patience, and in being mindful, and when she's talking about the mai tree, and it's a gradual thing to be gentle with yourself and be patient with yourself in this
yeah.
quest from fear to fearlessness. And I like the way she jokes. She dropped a few humorous things here and there and had the audience chuckling. But so I wrote that down so that you and I could talk about it and bring up the thing of ants. And as I'm writing it down, it might have been like 4 or 5 minutes later, she actually specifically names in the video, I don't know if you remember, ants. And I thought that was really cool. She said ants and another animal. It didn't even matter what the other animal was, but I'm sure it was equally as important. And I should go back and find out and understand what that medicine
I
means
think
now.
I remember she was mentioning animals. She was talking about how doing this practice and opening up is good for the whole world. And she says that it's good for, I remember she started naming parrots and tarantulas, and and I remember other parrots or something like that. And then when she was saying just working on yourself and facing that fear, that it does have an impact on
Did she really
on
say
everything, the interconnect.
stop? Okay, like I said 3 times, and I've already offered my pardons to the audience for not having this fully seep in yet. But did she really say parrots and tarantulas?
Yeah.
That is so hilarious, because that is like my light and shadow like spirit animal. It's like not tarantula specifically, but spiders, one of them. But my key like spirit animal, the one that I identify most with is the macaw. And so
Wow.
wow that I missed that during the 3 times I listened to it. So funny, man. I was
That's
distracted
cool.
by the impending appointment that I had coming to the home today, but still, I digress. Um, hey, Ray, how did you feel about this? She said, unconditional, unlimited friendliness towards oneself that radiates outwards to others. Come on!
It's true. The more you love yourself and the more you accept yourself, that love's going to pour out, because it can only pour out. So it's,
I mean,
you end up noticing your inner everybody else.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, you kind of cut out there.
Oh, you did too. That's funny. I wonder what actually records when that happens. If maybe it's there, if it's totally a blank. Audience, let us know. We're working on our technology and beefing up our connectivity. So please and thank you for your patience. But what were you saying, Ray? Let me read the quote again, because it's worthy of re-mentioning. Unconditional, unlimited friendliness towards oneself that radiates outwards to others. Let's practice that. And what is it? It's not new. It's just said in a different way. Like we've said, this isn't new
Right?
information, but it's beautiful.
It is beautiful, very beautiful. And I think the more peace you make with your own judgments and your own traumas and your own stuff, it gives you that compassion for other people's suffering. You relate to your own suffering, compassion. So you see somebody else suffering and you recognize it because you had that within yourself, and you made friends with that. So you can help that person. You could be open to that person's pain and hold space for them and help them bring acceptance to their own stuff.
So
So that's how I see it.
it's beautiful, man. Very well said. And uh, I mean, it's so easy to say in theory, but it's a very, very difficult practice to stick with and to fall in love with, because it does take a copious amount of bravery to walk this path. And she mentions that. And look, man, I fall off the path every day. I was going to say all the time, but let's be real, every day. And I have to gently remind myself to jump back on and be patient. That's what the answer there for. The answer, like, John, just be patient. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Just be patient. Be gentle with yourself. And
Right.
in turn, as you
Talks a lot
just,
about mindfulness too.
yep. And interesting that you led us to another lesson in mindfulness, knowing that that's John with a J's one word mantra for the year, mindfulness. So Ray found another way to help me with my practice, and I am eternally thankful for yet another wonderful chapter to inject into this year's mindfulness anthology, if you will. What else do we got here? She talks about people are constantly dissociating. Guilty. I never knew what that meant 5 years ago. Maybe even, I never knew what that meant, maybe as early as 3 or 4 years ago. I actually, when someone would bring it up, I would just kind of dissociate and not, I don't know what that means. I'm out of here. And so, what does dissociate mean for you, Ray?
I think dissociate just means, I guess it would be with the opposite of empathy. You can't really relate to another person's being, another person's whether they're going through or suffering or stuff, and going to you can't associate with them, so you can't really understand it.
Right, and abandoning ourselves, and we had a little technical difficulty there, but if you guys were able to hear Ray, that's cool. If not, maybe we both have a little resistance to the theme of dissociation, which will happen a lot of times when the feelings will get intense. We pop out of it and don't allow ourselves to feel things. And so what Ray was saying about feeling empathy for others, that holds true to there. So we're abandoning others. So it's abandoning ourselves, abandoning others, and just disconnecting from what is. And that's, that was
Right.
the big heartbeat of this video, and being in and loving what is right now.
Right. I also like too what you said about mindfulness is popping the speech balloon. And when you're going through living in the moment, not labeling things as good or bad, this should have happened or that shouldn't have happened, the could have, would have, it just being totally integrated in the moment. So I think that was pretty good, because we do that all the time. We think we're mindful, but then we're always judging the moment and allowing that, and that kind of puts a little kind of takes us away a little bit between us in the moment. Is those judgments, it kind of creates like a little bit of a layer, kind of creates a little bit of a duality between us and the moment itself. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I'm glad you brought that one up, because I was running out of space. I was trying to keep it to 2 pages, and I was like, you know what? Maybe Ray will write this one down, and so he did, folks. Hey, you know what?
And what? Go ahead.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking that maybe we get a little crazy and do our card pull of the week. Are you ready?
Nice. Starseed.
Yes, I feel like we've
ready, man.
had a few technical difficulties today, folks, but please bear with us. We're going to slowly invest in better equipment and upgrade our technologies so that we can sound better and seamlessly flow better. But this is look, it's only episode number 9, and Ray and I are amateurs as far as the podcasting world is concerned. This is we are in the infancy of this all. So thank you for your patronage and patience. Everything helps. And yeah, this is a super, I'm just going to warn you guys. So this is a super sexy deck. It's called the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Artwork by Danielle Noel. And check it out. Super sexy. What? I love the try. In fact, in the guidebook inside, it shows ways that you can like set this up, and they like interconnect, and you can do like spreads and some really unique things based on how this I don't know. It's pretty cool. I don't know. They fit together in some weird ways. I love triangles. This was something that my partner found online, and I was like, ooh, I'll be using that next week. Here are the cards' backs. So there's the spread, and then some really nice pastel-y colors and tones. There's the cards.
They're really nice.
So yeah, and the readings inside aren't very long, so that's always nice. When we come back from our reading, we can have a question for you. I couldn't really hear, even though I listened to it 3 times, what the word was. And actually, I could talk about while we're shuffling. Was it the 4 limitless wands or wands? Like magical wand?
I didn't get that either, but I remember she also referred to them as the 4 great catalysts.
I know, I wrote that down. Same. It's like
compassion, the mindfulness, the maitri, joy, and equanimity. So that's what it was. All right, here comes the reading.
Yeah, while you're looking the other way, I was doing some crazy TikTok oracle stuff. I have a character, an alter ego, folks, known as the TikTok oracle. I do crazy online readings within 30 seconds or a minute to music in the background, the costume and everything. It's pretty fun. All right, here we go. Let's shuffle 1 more time, 2 more times. Pull from the bottom and slap it on the top 3 more times, and then we're going to take it right out of the middle. Ooh, super sexy card. Here we go. I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. Can you make it out? I can't.
Activated Earth.
Oh my gosh, you got it. Yes, that's exactly what it said. Activated Earth. Power places.
What number is it?
Ley lines. Trust where you're led. These do not have numbers. So,
okay.
Wow, what a pretty card. It looks like it's Stonehenge, kind of. I don't know if it's specifically Stonehenge, but it looks like, no, yeah. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it does look like that.
The camera doesn't know, this Zoom session experience does this card and its beauty no justice. But I will read it. I will look it up. Activated Earth. Yummy looking card. It is in alphabetical order, so it's nice and easy. All right. Activated Earth. Power places. Ley lines. Trust where you're led. Ley lines are invisible pathways on the land along which energy travels. They can be sensed when we tune into them with our subtle senses, also known as spirit paths. They've been compared to the meridian system of the body used in Chinese medicine, and they link sacred sites, stone circles, burial mounds, and places of worship worldwide. In Australian Aboriginal culture, songlines were paths traveled by the creator beings as they made the land and sea during the dreaming. These paths were recorded in the traditional songs and dances of the people, allowing them to access information about the land's history and to travel safely across great distances. Many believe that as we visit such sacred points on earth, something is activated within us. Some also believe that by connecting with the land with devotion at these sacred places, something is activated within the planet too. Are you being called to travel to a sacred place that your soul remembers, or to tend the land you live on, to honor and acknowledge the known and unknown keepers of natural spirits of that land? As you connect with earth and honor its keepers, the land opens up more fully to hold you. The fruits provide more nourishment, and the guardians watch over you. Starseed activation. Place the card on the portal of your heart and whisper the following. Oh, shit. I'm about to do that for me and for all of us, folks. Here we go. All right. I honor and thank. Ready? Here we go. I honor and thank the keepers of the earth beneath me, known and unknown. Thank you for your nourishment and tender holding. And so it is. Wow,
That's nice.
So beautiful. I have been gardening lately and attending to the land that I live on, since travel has not been very much in the cards, so to speak. And that has been very invigorating and nice to do. We've planted, I have planted several 100 seeds around the property here. It's a rental, but with permission of the landlord. Cleared out all the weeds from some of the shrubbery areas, and there's some old abandoned beds and stuff. Man, we planted like 15 different varieties of sunflowers. Our goal is to be known as the Sunflower House. And just all sorts of flowers and stuff. We have a container garden going in the back right now, just where my partner's really excited about growing vegetables and this, that, and the other thing. And so that's been pretty neat. As far as sacred sites calling to you, Ray, when travel becomes a thing again, globally, maybe that we're all more comfortable with and it's more safe, et cetera, are there any places or specific
I would love to go back to either Maui or some Hawaiian island. That's where I would like to go. Like I told you, I've been to Maui twice for 2 Ramdas retreats, and that was just beautiful. Just the energy there is amazing. Just amazing energy in Maui. But I would like to maybe go to Maui, maybe go somewhere else too, maybe the Big Island. I'm not sure where.
Do that. The Big Island was fantastic. I can give you some really cool spots to check out. Some of which don't pop up on your normal guidebooks, if you will. Man, some locals spread the love real thick for me and my partner at the time by sharing some really sacred spots with us. Kauai's not, dude, if you're gonna island hop and you can do 3 islands, maybe consider Kauai too, because known as the Garden Isle, because it gets the most amount of precipitation. Dude, there is a color green that does not exist anywhere else in this world, and that Crayola left out of the box of 64, Ray. I call it Hawaiian green, and it is majestic.
I definitely gotta check it out then.
Maybe it's a Bodhi Bros retreat, man, because I want to go to Maui, man, and that was the one island that I did miss when we got to go over there and do a little hopping. And I can understand why it calls to you, because I don't know if we were on Kauai or the Big Island, but I asked someone on the shores of one of the beaches we were at, I'm like, what's that over there? And they said, that's Maui. And I was like, oh shit, it's calling me, man. There is very something magnetic about that place for sure, brother.
Definitely.
You've experienced. I would
love to do that.
I have yet to touch its sands, but I long for the day.
Maybe one of our retreats, our first retreat, will be in Maui.
Why not?
Not?
It's got to be somewhere.
Right.
Shit, right now, flights to Hawaii are super cheap, by the way.
That's pretty tempting.
Right.
Very tempting.
Well, I'm looking at my notepad. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else episode related to the noble journey from fear to fearlessness. Do you have anything else we need to talk about?
I like how she says just to go at your own speed with this stuff and not try to just take it all on at one time. Because if we try to take everything on at one time and do all these practices, we can get discouraged and we can just give up the whole thing. And that kind of applies to a lot of things, like working out, diet. You've all known a person who says, I'm going to start working out 3 hours every day and I'm going to eat like no carbs. And how long does that last? A couple weeks, and then they get turn off. And I think it's the same way with a lot of these practices and loving kindness and mindfulness and equanimity and even just, facing our feelings. It is tough. It's tough work. And sometimes going all in on this 100% at one time, sometimes that is too much. Sometimes you just have to do a little bit here and there, and a little bit here and there does add up over time. Even just sitting with your feelings for 30 seconds and just being, I'm just gonna allow everything that I feel and everything that I think to just be, just for 30 seconds. That's huge. And if it starts with 30 seconds, that could go up to a minute, and who knows, even longer. So don't get discouraged if this seems overwhelming to you, and just take what you can do. And she says this develops in increments. So, and that's in developing increments, that is loving kindness. It is being kind to yourself and not trying to do everything at one time and trying to be like the Buddha and be like, I'm just going to go sit under the Bodhi tree until I become a fully enlightened Buddha, and it's probably not going to happen. So just be kind with yourself and be compassionate with yourself and
honest.
Yeah. And she's, and honest. And she even said that, the path itself is the goal. There's no future point, just now. It's all about how you relate to right now, this moment, right now. And I think a lot of times in spirituality, we have this goal mindset. That there's some point in the future we're going to become some great experience is going to happen, and somehow all of our suffering is going to vanish, and we're going to become this mystical being of white light. And it's sort of you're setting yourself up for failure. I think is just work on here and now. Just work on being present and work on being mindful, and try to live every day with an open mind and a loving heart. So just do the best you can. That's all I gotta say.
Ray dropping the poetry there. Nice little session there, Bodhi Ray. And Ralph Smart's got the 7-day vegan challenge. Now it sounds like Ray's dropping the 30-second feelings challenge. slow motion left. Can I get a hello, Bodhi Ray? Hey, I think that's a really wonderful way to wrap up this session today, man. A very delicious conclusion. It was
Thanks.
Wonderful. So now some housekeeping as we wrap things up here. We started to invite people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Last week, I think we began with 4 subscribers. Thank you to those initial 4 subscribers for clicking that red button and joining our community. We are now up to 71 subscribers on YouTube. So round of applause to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What Ray said, very much. And we've only just begun. We're going to be inviting more and more folks. So thank you for your patience as we post on our social medias and try to put the word out there slowly, but surely, and try not to be obnoxious about it. But look, we have to have a way to reach folks. And right now we can't do it out and about in our communities at local coffee shops and vegan restaurants or parks and this, that, and the other thing. We have to do it online. So thank you for understanding as we reach out in all the creative ways we can without being overbearing. If we do grace those lines of being irritable, please let us know, and we will do our best to accommodate your needs. I would like to say it was super exciting to go on Anchor and see where our listenership, that's even a word it is now, has been coming from. This is pretty rad, okay? We have folks from
we have some fans of Morocco, don't we?
We have Morocco. So thank you, Morocco. I'm just going to give shout outs to whomever those folks are, or that one particular brilliant being is. Morocco, thank you. Argentina, appreciate it. Canada, thanks. Netherlands, holler. United Kingdom, come on, grateful United Kingdom. Croatia, we appreciate you. Australia, which we mentioned during this episode. Thank you, Australia. And finally, this one blew my mind, the USA. Thank you, United States of America, for your patronage. But that's pretty neat, man, for just two guys getting together and talking about some stuff and learning some things and being open with each other and with all of you.
Maybe we could have that retreat in Australia.
Why not? I mean, we're going to Hawaii. We might as well go to Australia too. That's on my list of many places to go. There is a great book called, gosh, I would love to end with this. What is it called? But it's about, okay, I don't want to waste time on the air trying to figure out the name and rack my brain, but I will put it in the comments because I know as soon as I stop recording, it'll come to me. But it's about this walkabout that this woman is, she's like a writer, a reporter or something. This tribe is doing their final walkabout, and they've never had an outsider ever accompany them. And she is invited to detail their journey and stuff and write a book about it. And it was one of the best books I've ever read. And so, yeah, I will share that in the link below too. So if you could send me, Ray, the link to the book that you have that is on your reading pile, I will list this book as well. Of course, the link to the video that we watched today. And folks, I got nothing else for you but a zillion thanks and love from our hearts to yours. Ray, you got anything?
I just want to say thank you to our listeners and subscribers, and let us know if there's somebody that you want us to look into, a certain video or a certain teacher. Drop a comment. We'll do it. So that's all I got.
Drop a comment. 30-second Bodhi Ray feelings challenge. Let's hear about it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys. Till next time with episode 10. Namaste. We are out of here.